From Recorded Future News and PRX, this is Click Here.
I have two quotes in my life that have really shook me.
This is Michael Barnhart. He goes by Barney.
One was in 2013, a girl said I had skinny calves, and I once a week think about that. I think about it every week, and it bothers me. The second one is in FBI St. Louis. One of the guys there said, North Korea has big plans for AI. I think about that every week, too.
Two quotes, one about calves and the other about cyber warfare. The first one is funny, and the second one keeps him up at night. Because Barney is an insider risk investigator at a cybersecurity company called DTEX, and his specialty is North Korea. Not the starving, flickering lights version from Cold War cartoons, but a new version, one that's learned to build a kind of cyber mafia operation.
North Korea is bred to be very criminal-like in nature. Everything goes back to funding the regime. So everything has this criminal aspect to fund themselves.
Sanctions choked off legitimate commerce, so the regime adapted, turned hacking into industry, built out supply chains, started thinking like a startup. And Barney, he was watching it all unfold in real time.
Can you actually see them talking to each other?
Yeah, I'm watching all that stuff real time. We have an underground network of intel analysts and people that focus on this. We call them the misfits. We are a bunch of misfit toys.
Like the toys from Rudolph, the ones even Santa forgot.
How do you like that? Even among misfits, you're misfits.
They've been at it for nearly a decade.
It started off with a crew of about 5, and then now you have group chats that are, 50 people deep. They do it at work for their jobs. And then all the stuff that they can't do at their jobs, they then go home and then do their passion projects.
They spot patterns, build reports.
We are as weird as the guys we track.
Sometimes they post North Korean government hackers' faces online.
So some of the misfit crew on Twitter started just posting pictures of their faces of North Korea government hackers. Boom, here's your face, name and shame.
And lately, what they're tracking has changed. North Korean hackers are no longer working alone. They've found a little helper, that thing that's been keeping Barney up at night. Artificial intelligence.
And so we've been watching them build that out with the IT workers that are focused on AI jobs. They're learning how AI works. And this Daily NK report comes out, and it kind of confirms a lot of fears.
Daily NK. It's an online news site covering the Hermit Kingdom, and it reported something new. It said that Kim Jong-un wasn't just deploying AI, he was institutionalizing it. He actually created a center dedicated to it, something North Korea is calling Research Center 227. I'm Dina Temple-Raston, and this is Click Here, a podcast about all things cyber and intelligence. We tell true stories about the people making and breaking our digital world. And today, North Korea has embraced artificial intelligence, not to translate documents, not to streamline government, but to steal billions and fund its weapons program.
It's AI is good when it's on the good guys' hands. It's now you have the adversarial nation saying this AI that we have is meant to develop our hacking operations. It also is nightmare fuel.
Stay with us.
Click Here is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Support for Click Here comes from Quince. And you're probably like me. When the weather warms up, the idea of buying yourself a whole new wardrobe seems like a good one. And then a lot of what you buy ends up in a pile of clothes you never wear. Quince will help break you of that habit. Their pieces are timeless, lightweight, and responsibly manufactured with premium fabrics and finishes. And the best part? Everything on Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than what you'd find for similar brands because they work directly with top artisans and cut out the middleman. I have a pair of their suede mules. They're water repellent, look expensive but aren't, and the insole is incredibly comfortable.
from the moment you put them on. They're the perfect slip-ons for the summer. So treat your closet to a little summer glow-up with Quince. Go to quince.com/click here for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/click here to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/click here.
ChatGPT, AI machines,
satellite, engine ignition,
click here,
and liftoff.
It's easy to dismiss North Korea as a foreign backwater, as a country where about half the population doesn't have electricity and basically no one has the internet. But actually, that's kind of the reason why they produce such great hackers and why North Korea has become a cyber juggernaut.
They would go to these competitions in like the Netherlands and they would be on the world stage and they would, absolutely stomp the US and China. It's like, wow, you know, like how are they pulling this off? You know, they're supposed to be, these guys that don't even have power. How are they just doing this? And like,
their secret, it turns out, was something basic. Start young, train hard.
It begins in primary school. They are looking for kids who are gifted in math, science, logic, and even memory capacity.
That's David So-Yun Baek, a cybersecurity analyst in South Korea.
Those who stand out get funneled into elite middle high schools where they receive intensified education and grooming for technical careers.
And much in the same way that Russia or China might hand-pick Olympic gymnasts at the age of 3, North Korea grooms its brainiest youngsters to become hackers. In the DPRK, there could be worse fates. Hackers live a life of relative privilege. They reside in guarded compounds with reliable electricity, climate control, plenty of food, and of course, the internet.
These hackers are treated as elite.
According to defector testimony collected by an NGO called PS Core, some 3,000 North Korean hackers are posted abroad at any one time. And David says they set up shop in countries like Russia, Laos, or China to begin testing their skills in the real world.
In these settings, they have access to tools and networks they simply would not have at home. North Korea can study how the internet actually works in the free world. It gives them a real-world training ground for developing more effective attacks.
Meanwhile, their families back home are given perks, an apartment, better things to eat.
Which might sound like a privilege, but it's also a leash. Those same families can effectively become hostages, which prevents these elite cyber warriors from defecting, even if they wanted to.
So the threat of punishment looms over every worker and his family.
There's a real pressure to stay loyal. So what you have is a system that produces technically capable, highly motivated individuals who are not only working for the regime, they're tightly bound to it, both by rewards and by fear.
They're tightly bound, he says, by rewards and by fear. They're kept under constant surveillance. Teams of 10 to 30 people live crammed together in the same house. They're only allowed outside once or twice a week, and they're pushed to meet intense monthly quotas, $4,000 to $7,000 a month, of which they only see a very small fraction. Miss your target, and your family could pay the price, or you could be sent home. And that pressure, David says that's one of the reasons North Korean hackers turned to AI in the first place.
It is changing how they work at a fundamental level. They are using AI not just to be smarter, but to work faster.
Not just to be smarter, but to work faster. AI helps them scale and helps them make their scams more believable. Take, for instance, a story we reported on earlier this year about North Korean hackers who land IT jobs at American companies. They use tools like ChatGPT to write convincing cover letters and create fake identities. They use AI voice and face changers to look more convincing in their interviews. To now, they've been largely relying on open source AI tools. But Barney, the cyber investigator we heard from earlier, says North Korea is preparing for the day when they might not have access to them anymore.
I mean, they're going to get cut off. They always are. So they're trying to get ready for whenever they are.
And if you know anything about North Korea, that checks out. Isolation isn't a glitch in their system. It is the system. Shut out, locked out, sanctioned into a corner, which is precisely how they got into cyber warfare in the first place. When you can't buy power, you learn to steal it. So the idea that they'd just surrender their access to AI, let it go quietly, that was never in the cards. And sure enough, the regime didn't just brace for a cutoff, they built a workaround.
We start hearing about this unit that's part of the RGB.
The Reconnaissance General Bureau. Think CIA meets NSA with a little KGB thrown in for good measure. And Barney says they handed Unit 227 a chilling assignment. Build North Korea's own AI from scratch, not just to keep pace, but to get ahead.
Unit 227, it's subordinate to the RGB, so also means in the pecking order, they're going to have the top creme de la creme of any recruit they want.
The goal of Unit 227? Build a sovereign large language model, something homegrown, something powerful, something like OpenAI's GPT or China's DeepSeek. And when China unveiled its model, DeepSeek, Silicon Valley didn't shrug. It scrambled.
A new Chinese artificial intelligence tool is raising concerns from Silicon Valley to Wall Street this morning. It's called
Talk about DeepSeek because it is mind-blowing and it is shaking this entire industry to its core. The emergence of DeepSeek.
North Korea seems to be aiming for the same kind of shockwave.
They've been working on AI, and we know that they want to build things internally, domestically, like all themselves. That's been the prize thing. The APTs have been great. Crypto's been great. AI has been their prize position. Now that they have that, it's about to beef everything up.
Crypto made them rich. Hacks made them feared. AI could make them unstoppable. That's when we come back. Stay with us.
How did the internet go from this?
You could actually find what you were looking for right away, bang,
to this.
I feel like I'm in hell.
Spoiler alert, it was not an accident. I'm Cory Doctorow, host of Who Broke the Internet from CBC's Understood. In this 4-part series, I'm going to tell you why the internet sucks now, whose fault it is, and my plan to fix it. Find Who Broke the Internet on whatever terrible app you get your podcasts.
You're listening to Click Here. I'm Dina Temple-Raston. If you want to understand why North Korea's growing interest in artificial intelligence is more than just an academic concern, start with the money. Start with the crypto heist.
You won't believe this. Bybit, the third largest crypto exchange, just got hacked for $1.4 billion worth of Ethereum.
I mean, it's by far the biggest crypto hack that we've ever seen. North Korea, who believe is behind this hack.
Zach Edwards is a senior threat analyst at Silent Push, and he says this latest crypto heist was particularly alarming because no one is really sure where all that crypto went.
We're just a couple months past a $1.4 billion heist of a cryptocurrency exchange, and approximately 30% of those funds have gone dark, basically meaning they can't be traced.
Zach spends his days following money like this, across exchanges, blockchains, aliases, and borders. And if you're wondering why North Korea's AI ambitions are keeping intelligence experts up at night, it's because they seem to have plenty of money to fund a secret homegrown AI project.
We're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars from just one heist. And this is absolutely unsustainable. We cannot keep seeing that type of money pouring into North Korea, and it really should be considered a national security threat across all of the...
Because this isn't just about greed. It's about funding something else entirely, something far more dangerous. In April, Zach and his team watched that $1.4 billion ripple outward, and that digital crime scene began to shift into something more physical. North Korea was trying its hand at something new, creating legally incorporated companies.
So they've created 3 fake companies, and 2 of them were legally registered in the United States. And so this really is crossing the Rubicon.
These weren't just phishing scams or spoofed emails. This was infrastructure. North Korea wasn't pretending to be a business. It was becoming one. They registered official LLCs, limited liability companies, with the U.S. government. one in New York and another in Mexico. And now they're using these shell companies as a cover for North Korean IT workers, so they can pose as remote employees working at these LLCs.
We've never seen them go so far as to register their businesses, go through the checks, and basically use a fake persona to do the whole thing.
And here's the twist. Nothing flagged it. The filings were, quote, in compliance with state statute, which means legal, even though it's very much not legal, because under U.S. law, North Korea can't open businesses here. But that didn't stop them. They used AI-generated faces, fake LinkedIn profiles, even Medium articles to build a digital smokescreen.
And it sat there for months and months with them operating with these fake businesses before they were eventually caught.
And they didn't stop there.
They heavily use AI image generators. They are creating fake recruiter profiles, and it really requires having a real face on those profiles.
Then came the job listings, legit looking, slick, custom designed to lure in crypto developers. Imagine you're job hunting. You find a promising startup. You check their website, their bios, their mission. It all seems real. You apply, and then
you go through a series of survey questions, and then the final question is always, hey, record a video introduction. And when you click to record the video introduction, they show this error message, and they say, oops, there's been an error.
But it doesn't work. A pop-up tells you there's a glitch, offers a fix.
They say, copy this, and then open a console on your computer and paste it. And if you do that, you will have deployed malware onto your computer. We've seen this over and over and over again.
But this isn't what keeps Zach and his colleagues up at night. That distinction belongs to Barney. You remember him, the guy with the skinny calves and a knack for spotting trouble before it makes the news. And he noticed that North Korea was crowing about this new project.
They started talking about how they have AI suicide drones. Like a few days after that first report on 227 came out.
Yes, you heard that right. AI-powered drones, targeting and killing with minimal human input. And in a way, Barney wasn't that surprised. He'd seen little hints that something like this was in the offing last year.
I'm seeing them target drones. They're going after very specific Chinese lasers for drone detections. All that's happening last year in a very small time frame.
What he saw wasn't speculation. It was a schematic.
Flash forward to, hey, we have suicide AI drones now. And I'm like, that's exactly what we saw them building out. We saw them getting the blueprints and all that stuff ready.
So AI suicide drones aren't just a concern anymore. Barney says they may have already actually happened, which means if there was a countdown for when North Korea would finally start using AI in a big way, it's already reaching 0.
This is not something that we can drag our feet on. And sooner rather than later, because now we have AI suicide drones. Now we have a $1.4 billion hack. This is all before they got advanced with their AI stuff.
North Korea was dangerous before it had AI. And now?
All these hacks that we've seen, it's now the tip of the iceberg, because they were doing that without all this. We've now just dumped gasoline on top of all of it. If we don't start figuring out now, we're about to be in a world of hurt.
This is Click Here.
If you're looking for a daily guide to cybersecurity news and policy, sign up for the Cyber Daily from Recorded Future News. It serves up the day's most interesting and important cyber stories from our sister publication, The Record, and then aggregates all of the big cyber stories you might have missed from news outlets around the world. Just go to therecord.media and click on Cyber Daily to get all you need to know about the world of cybersecurity right in your inbox.
Here are some of the top cyber and intelligence stories from the past week, from global malware and drug rings brought down by the feds to the return of a tech visionary with a plan to replace your phone, and a new owner for your DNA. It's Tuesday, May 27th.
The U.S. Department of Justice took control of Lumma's Central Command, shutting down its marketplaces.
Last week, federal agents made a move on a major player in the cybercrime world, Lumma, a piece of malware that quietly infected nearly 400,000 computers worldwide. Its job? Stealing your passwords, credit card numbers, even your crypto. And its appeal was simplicity, scale, and unbridled success. That is, until last week's takedown. Microsoft got a court order to wipe more than 2,000 websites tied to the malware. And in a rare display of international coordination, authorities in Europe and Japan dismantled the rest of Luma's network. Rebuilding it won't be easy, but Microsoft says that the hackers will probably try.
This organization primarily sells methamphetamine, cocaine, and MDMA that they package here in Los Angeles at various different locations and then put into the U.S. postal system.
That's how federal agents say the drugs moved. Last month, an FBI raid on an apartment in Los Angeles led to the takedown of what officials are calling one of the darknet's most prolific drug operations, a group known as Joy Inc. It was just one part of a sweeping international sting called Operation Raptor, a coordinated law enforcement effort that spanned 10 countries, including the U.S. and U.K. and South Korea. The goal? Disrupt fentanyl and opioid trafficking on the dark web. And it worked. Federal agents say they made 270 arrests. They seized over $200 million in cash and cryptocurrency and more than 2 metric tons of drugs. Some 180 firearms were seized as well. The DOJ says it's their largest darknet drug takedown yet. But it didn't come out of nowhere. It was the result of years spent mapping how anonymous users move drugs, guns, and money across hidden marketplaces. And in an entirely different corner of the internet,
I think it is the coolest piece of technology that the world will have ever seen.
Johnny Ive, the man who designed the iPhone, is back, this time with OpenAI. After 2 years of quietly working together, OpenAI just bought Ive's company, Lovefront, for $6.5 billion. Their goal to build something even more revolutionary than the iPhone. But they won't say exactly what it is, except to say that it might not have a screen and that it's meant to free us from our devices. They're planning to ship 100 million of them next year. We don't know what the new object is, but they say it will elevate humanity. And finally,
we heard this morning from Regeneron that they did win the bid to acquire 23andMe. And that is
a company that once promised to unlock your ancestry just sold your genetic data. 23andMe, the once hyped DNA testing company, has gone bankrupt. And last week, it was purchased by the pharmaceutical giant Regeneron for $256 million. The price includes something more valuable than just the brand. It includes 15 million DNA profiles. Regeneron says it will use the data to develop new drugs and is pledging to follow privacy rules. Even so, the deal is raising alarms. Consumer groups warn that it's opening a new chapter on who controls our most personal data. The court will rule on the deal July 17th. Until then, users can still delete their data.
Today's episode was written and produced by Megan Dietrich, Zach Hirsch, Erica Gaida, Dina Temple-Raston, and the lead producer was me, Sean Powers. It was edited by Karen Duffin, fact-checked by Darren Ankrum, and it contains original music by Ben Livingston, with some other music from Blue Dot Sessions. Our staff writer is Lucas Riley, and our illustrator is Megan Goff. Martin Peralta and Jesse Neiswanger are our sound designers and engineers. Click Here is a production of Recorded Future News and PRX. Tune in on Friday for Mic Drop, which features our favorite episode of the week. We'll see you then.
Looking for more of the cybersecurity and intelligence coverage you get on Click Here? Then check out our sister publication, The Record, from Recorded Future News. You'll get breaking cyber news from reporters in New York, Washington, London, and Kyiv, among others. And you'll see for yourself why it attracts hundreds of thousands of page views every month. Just go to therecord.media.